So I'm going to summarize Chapter 1 of Scaffolding Language, Scaffolding Learning by Pauline Gibbons, and provide a reflection based on my own experiences. So English language learners typically receive a lot of support when they're first learning English, but as they continue their education, and especially in high school, they receive less and less support and now struggle in their academic classes because they still struggle with the English language. This book is meant to help teachers learn how to support English language learners in all of their classrooms. We must treat English language students not based on what they lack, but rather what they can become. We must have high expectations and build their confidence to set them up for success. Gibbons discusses the importance of language and context. In the context of culture, speakers from a particular culture share assumptions and expectations so that they know how to do things such as greeting someone or ordering food at a restaurant. The context of situation is the occasion for which the language is being used, and the language varies based on that context. In characterizing context, we must think about what is being talked or written about, the relationship between the speakers, and whether the language is spoken or written. These features are also referred to as field, tenure, and mode. English language students quickly learn how to communicate informally, but really struggle when it comes to academic language. For example, the students that I work with in an ELD2 class can have successful conversations with me and their peers in English, but face difficulties when writing or speaking academically. Gibbons provides different views of learning. In an individualistic view of learning, the learner is either seen as an empty vessel that teachers can fill with information or at the center of the learning process where they develop intelligent inquiry and thought. In either, the student is seen as a lone learner. The social-cultural theory sees human development as social. The zone of proximal development is the cognitive gap between what a child can do without help and what a child can do with support from an expert. So, scaffolding is quoted as the temporary but essential nature of the mentor's assistance. In other words, it is temporary help from a teacher in learning how to do something so the student can later do a similar task on their own. Teachers must have high expectations but provide scaffolding in order for the student to be successful. Here we see the 4 zones of teaching. As can be seen, the learning and engagement zone is in a classroom that provides high challenge and high support. This is what a classroom needs to be like for all learners, including English language learners. We should not simplify a task for them, but rather provide scaffolding so they can complete the task. I want to conclude by providing an example of scaffolding that I witnessed in a biology classroom. There are 6 English language learners in this bio class, and when it came time for a quiz, it was going to be very difficult for these students to complete the task on their own in the amount of time provided. Therefore, their ELD teacher provided support by underlining some difficult words and translating them for the students. In sections where the students had to answer a question using complete sentences, she set up the sentence structure for the students so that they could fill it in with their answers. And in a section that had a longer prompt that required personal explanations and evidence, she allowed the students to use their native language if needed, since it was still the beginning of the school year and she wanted to take their challenges step by step. Instead of making the questions easier for them, these students were still challenged but received support to be successful.